Before I start, guys, I'm just going to do this. I think if I click to, that's Coach Kyle, that's cool. Okay, we'll start with this. So I'm just going to share a smile with you guys. So feel free to smile back. It's okay. Hello. Yay. All right, game. We're done. Yeah. All right. Sometimes I wonder how I get in these situations or why I'm in front of people or why I'm going to talk to people. Actually, one thing I really love is just sharing with people, but not in structured settings. I really sometimes struggle with this, but I also see the purpose to it, so I'm excited to be here today. One, for fun, what Cebu Pacific is doing. One reason why I was super excited to be here and be involved is it's such a beautiful advocacy, to be trying to inspire young people to go and connect with the Philippines and learn about their culture and go out there and explore. So super cool, Cebu Pacific, thanks for having me. And in that case for you guys are here because you're going to get a chance to do that. And that is really something that's super beautiful. And I say that being a guy who's now been to 48 provinces here and driven a scooter 32,000 kilometers around the country. You really have some amazing things you can experience. But as well, as you've been seeing from other people talking today, you're also going to have a chance to do something that a lot of us do, and that's create media. When you guys are out there, you're going to be out there exploring, interacting, learning, and you're going to get a chance to create some pretty cool media. You're going to have some cool experiences. You're going to see some beautiful things. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to share with you guys, it might be a little bit emo, but I'm going to share with you guys kind of my purpose and why I create media and how I started creating media. And I hope that you guys see, how that happened for me, and maybe it can get you guys to think about how you might create media or what you're going to do when you're out there venturing. So let's start. Who am I? Well, ako si Kyle, pero Filipino pangalan Kulas. Actually, kabalo magbisaya. Kinsa kabalo magbisaya? Who speaks Bisaya? Grabe, astig, daghan. And then marunong konti Tagalog na yun. Actually, nakatira Quezon City, isa kataon. So, salita konti Tagalog. Pero I am from Canada. I'm 100% Canadian, so English is my go-to. And I have to do this talk. So, pasensya na sa dugo sa ilong. Paselo ako magsungo. But we're going to get a nosebleed together. That's okay, right? So, I'm just a 29-year-old guy who is Canadian and who happened to get here to the Philippines. Now, I've been around quite a bit. I've had a pretty unique life. I was very blessed to end up kind of traveling to a lot of countries. So that list there is the places I've been, whether living and working or traveling or interacting. It's a lot of European countries. It's a lot of Southeast Asian countries, and as well as, of course, the States and Canada and different places. So all those places there, that's 29 countries. But there was one that I suddenly ended up in, and that is the Philippines. Now, it's very interesting because sometimes I wonder, why am I here? And truth be told, up until basically September of 2012, the Philippines just didn't exist in my life. It was just that really strange country that floats over there. I'd been to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, India. I was working in Hong Kong. I've been around the world a bit. But the Philippines is just a strange island, that unique place that's disconnected. I don't know if I want to go there. It's kind of far away. You got to hop on a plane, do whatever. But what happened is I got this job in Hong Kong. So September 2012, I went to Hong Kong, and at that point I had no Filipino friends. I had absolutely no connection with the Philippines whatsoever. It just didn't exist in my life. And what happened is I went to Hong Kong and I worked this outdoor adventure job. So my background is kind of in outdoor education. So we take groups of students into the outdoors, rock climbing, sea kayaking, outdoor adventure camps. And it just so happened when I was working in Hong Kong for this company, there's about 15 OFWs that I worked with. And that was the first time I'd ever met any Filipinos. What was happening is we worked this really, really hard job. So, you wake up, gising na, 4 a.m. It's like, oh, you're tired and you got to work all day nonstop in the outdoors till 10 p.m. And I was like, man, I'm exhausted. This is difficult. And then here's these Filipino guys and girls who are like, yeah, we're working hard. This is awesome. Bring it on. Oh, and then on the weekends they're like, let's patak and chip in together and hang out and do tai gai and eat together. And they just had this really cool kind of feel-good vibe all the time, even amongst this kind of difficult job. So I started hanging out with them, and I started getting kind of connected to them. I was like, man, you guys are pretty cool. And over 3 months, from September to December 2012, I just became very intrigued. And I made these really cool Filipino friends, and I really wondered, like, man, where are they from? What is this place? How do they have this cool, amazing attitude? So what happened is January 17th, 2013. I actually, this might look a bit weird, but that's me landing at the airport in Cebu at 2:30 in the morning. That was a Cebu Pacific flight. I'm not saying that for the sake of Cebu Pacific. That really was Cebu Pacific flight. I landed at 2:30 in the morning in Cebu. And what happened is at that point in my life, I knew about, my 15 Filipino friends from work, but I only knew them for about 1 to 2 months working with them. I didn't actually know, if anybody was going to be there or what was going to happen. And they just kind of told me, like, Kyle, I was in Kulas then, come visit us. So I did. And when I landed, what happened is, I go outside of the airport and I walk around for a bit. And then I see these two guys in cardboard boxes. And I traveled a lot, So when you see two guys in cardboard boxes staring at you and kind of making gestures at you, you do a little bit of stereotyping and you're like, no, I don't have any money, I'm sorry. So I walked past them and I was looking around for my friends, and actually turned out my Filipino friends had actually got two of their buddies who I didn't know to wear these cool cardboard box signs that were like, welcome to the Philippines, Kyle, we love you, Kyle, welcome here. So when I finally figured it out, I threw one of them on and they all came out and welcomed me. But what happened is for that 3 weeks, this was my first trip in 2013, I ended up for a week in Cebu, a week in Cagayan de Oro area, a little bit of time in Davao, and then up in Manila here. And it was really a very overwhelming experience for me, because again, people always ask me, yes, I am very in love with the Philippines, but I was also super in love with everywhere else I went in the world. I really love traveling around Southeast Asia. I love my experiences in Italy. I love living in Britain. But being here in that 3 weeks, I just never experienced, a place where here at 2:30 in the morning I get whisked away. I'm in a random house with people I don't know, and they're cooking me adobo and giving me blankets as if I'm family. And at this trip, I actually had 4 Canadian friends with me who none of my Filipino friends knew, and they were treating them as if they were, a friend like me, and it was really overwhelming. And what I noticed over that 3 weeks, I'd go around, and I'm quite a positive person, but I've never experienced a place where I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Wave and smile. And somebody would go, it's going really good, man, and wave and smile back, and be like, yeah, this is awesome, woo, sharing happiness is cool. And over that 3 weeks, I got very overwhelmed by the way Filipinos were just not afraid to share happiness. And it wasn't like a weird thing to do, for me to go around and be like, hey, how are you doing? High five. Hey, how are you going? Like, how's your day? I'm feeling great. Like, it wasn't weird to be positive. And it really kind of hit me in the heart. So what happened is I ended up going back to Hong Kong after that 3 weeks. And I had this very kind of, overwhelming experience with the simple positivity that people weren't afraid to share with me in the Philippines. So what happened, I was back in Hong Kong. It was maybe April, nearing my birthday. And I was working really hard, and I kind of felt, a little bit bummed out. It's a very difficult job. My life was it was just a difficult time. And I thought, you know what? There's a lot of people in the Philippines who I was meeting in that 3 weeks who had difficult lives too, but they still managed to share some positive stuff. And what I realized is when they did, it made you feel good, and it made other people feel good, and it kind of turned all that negativity upside down. So I thought, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do what Filipinos do. And when I went to Hong Kong when I was there, and I just wrote smile on an orange piece of cardboard, and I said, I'm going to go to Hong Kong and walk around and stand with the smile sign and just present something positive and see what happens. And what happened is every, maybe 90% of the people that walked by me, they'd either smirk or laugh or smile, and it taught me, I was like, you know what, just by presenting something positive, just presenting it, I'm not shoving it in your face saying, you have to smile with me, smile now. I just presented it. Most people would showcase or share something very simple and positive back. And that kind of hit me, so I thought, man, how come I didn't know this? How come all these Filipinos knew this? And I had never experienced that. And so what I did is I started going around and being like, maybe it was just one day. But I started going around. This is in Hong Kong at like a dragon boat festival. I just started sharing positivity. What happened? More people would come and share positivity with me. I was like, wow, it really compounds. Like, this is really cool. Then I was in Indonesia, and I was traveling around, and I remember this guy, I lost my iPad, and I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. And then this guy picks it up on a scooter, and we go on a 60-kilometer quest to find my iPad. And we ended up finding it, which was cool. But the whole time I realized, I was just sharing, like, he was like, you can do it, man. We're going to find your iPad. It's going to be positive. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I'll smile. It's going to work. And it did, and it was cool. He's a nice guy. I was in Malaysia. I was traveling through Malaysia. I was trying to share some positive vibes as well. What happened is I was out for a jog, I was running, and 2 police cars came up, and they took me and arrested me and brought me to the police station and interrogated me because they thought I was a Peruvian cocaine dealer. Yes, that's a true story. And this is actually my interrogator. You know, and even though we had such a negative experience, you know, being interrogated for 45 minutes, I thought, you know what, Filipinos, when I was there for that 3 weeks, there's a lot of negative stuff, but they were still presenting positive things, and it seemed to grow more positive things. So I'm going to try that. So yeah, at the end of it, we just shared a smile. All was good. We carried on. The day was a lot better. And then so what happened is, during that time of traveling, I was like, man, I'm really connecting with this simple positive kind of stuff that I had on that very short trip in the Philippines. So I need to go back. Maybe it was just like a one-off thing. Maybe the Philippines, you know, maybe that wasn't, you know, what it is. And so I went back and I decided to live here for a bit. So in 2013, for 3 months, I lived in the Philippines. That was the end of June, July, August, September. And the reason I was able to do that was my job in Hong Kong was seasonal. So that was my time off. So I went, okay, I'm going back to the Philippines as well. What happened is I came back here and I started just going around and interacting. And what I would do is I'd do it without my friends. Because I really thought maybe it was just my Filipino friends who were bringing that positive stuff, but I want to go explore and see what else I could find. And give you an example, I'm just hanging out with like a pedicab driver, and I'll strike up a conversation. We'll have like a 15-minute conversation in a positive way. You know, and this is somebody who has a very difficult life, does not make very much money, you know, they can see my material things. I had an iPhone, you know, I looked okay, and we have this 15-minute conversation. At the end of it, he's like, hey, do you want a shot and some rice? And have a great day. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing to think that somebody could be, you know, in such a difficult situation. They still want to offer me things or share a bit of happiness. And then I looked at things like I stumbled upon a Filipino fiesta. I was like, whoa, you know, you go to a fiesta, what happens? People just give and give and give and give and give. What do they want to return? Kalipay, kaligayahan, happiness, right? Like, how freaking beautiful is that? So I was blown away by that. Then I go to, you know, I realized something. You know, there's All Saints Day, All Souls Day. Now, Filipinos, I realize, they just love to celebrate here. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. They freaking do it in the cemetery. They celebrate in the cemetery. You know, even in the most sad, depressing place you could think of, they're celebrating. This is the family I live with in Cagayan de Oro, and I was in the cemetery with them, smiling and laughing, taking selfies, like chilling, eating food, and you know, that really grew on me. Like, wow, that's so positive and beautiful. And then something like respect. You know, have you ever heard somebody say kuya, ate, manang, manong? You know, it's just those simple things. Blessing, manopo, amen, in Bisaya. You know, there's simple ways that people show respect here, even if you don't know each other. You know, that's beautiful. That's something to super appreciate. You know, you don't see that very often. I think that's so beautiful. So something like that. That's my Tito. I was blessing him, of course, so learning about it. And then what happened is, after that 3 months, you know, I was picking up a lot of positive stuff that I just shared with you. But then I had to go back to work. So I went back to Hong Kong again. When I was in Hong Kong, it was actually November, the beginning of November, and as we all know, Typhoon Yolanda hit. Now, at that point in my life, I just started building this kind of inspiration from the Philippines. It just kind of was really hitting me. And at that time, too, I was also working with Filipinos. And what happened is, I'm sitting there in Hong Kong, and Yolanda hits. And a few of my friends are from Tacloban, and a few of my friends are from, you know, in different areas that were affected. And I'm sitting there in Hong Kong, and I'm like, man, you know, seeing the news and stuff, like, this is really bad. This is really, you know, and these people are so beautiful, and they share these simple positive things. Like, you don't deserve this. And so what happened is, I left my job in Hong Kong, and I went to Tacloban. And I want to give you an example of the inspiration I found there. So I spent a month there, and I was doing a lot of kind of personal help stuff with friends and survivors. But I always remember this is like, imagine walking down the area, you know where those big boats, Malakiang Barco, you know, Daco Barco, were smashed up against the side? I remember being there. This is about 10 to 11 days after Yolanda hit. And it's just like a nuclear bomb went off. It's horrible, and there's just death and destruction everywhere. And there's just family. There's maybe 8 to 10 people hanging out. And I go up to them with my friend Chico, and I just start chilling with them for 10 to 15 minutes. And I remember just like laughing, joking around. They're giving me high fives, you know, we're playing some games, we're just having really positive interaction. And I look around, I'm like, this is in the middle of like absolute destruction. And then right before I leave, I asked that family, hey, what are you guys doing? We're actually digging for our dead grandmother under a boat. So can you imagine, here's a culture with people who are going through the most unimaginably worst things you could ever think of, like digging for your dead grandmother under a boat, and you still find something within you to share something positive. So that really blew my mind and really overwhelmed me. And that's why I really picked up on that Filipino resiliency side of this culture, and how that as well should be something that around the world should be emulated, or can be emulated. And so what happened is, after my time in Yolanda, I had this amazing dream trip planned. I was going to drive a rickshaw. It's like a tuk-tuk, in Thailand. I was going to drive it across India with 2 friends. We've been planning that even before the Philippines existed in my life. So we went to India, and at that point, I was just so overwhelmed and inspired by the Philippines that I was like, screw it, we're putting It's More Fun in the Philippines on the side of our vehicle. So for a month, even though I was having a dream trip, I was somewhere I really wanted to be and doing this trip, I just couldn't stop thinking about the Philippines. After that trip, I went back to Hong Kong. I love my job in Hong Kong. It is awesome. It is interacting with people. It's tough, but it is really awesome. The pay was great. It was really flexible. And I really love my colleagues. I'm still good friends with all my colleagues to today. And I was actually offered a promotion. It was like, wow, everything's going good. But the whole time I was there, this is January 2014, I just couldn't stop thinking about the Philippines. I went back to Canada for a quick trip before I had to go back to work full-time in Hong Kong. And I was there with my family, and I love my family. Anybody thinks I'm running away from Canada? Absolutely not. I absolutely love being Canadian. I'm so proud to be Canadian. I'm so blessed to have been, have the friends and family I have in Canada. I love them. I really love that part of the world. But the whole time I'm there, I can't stop thinking about the Philippines. I just couldn't. And it's because of all those simple, beautiful experiences I was having traveling and exploring this country. So what I did is, at that point in my life, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because can you imagine, up to that point, even those 29 countries before, I think I have one Facebook album with about 60 photos from all of my 29 countries. I don't create media. I never created media. I didn't even like taking photos. I definitely never talked to a camera. I definitely never spoke, and promoted something in the video format or in pictures or writing. I'm not a writer at all. But at that point in my life, I was just so touched by these simple positive things. I just felt that it was important to share them. So I genuinely believed at that point in my life that if I introduced people to these positive things I was experiencing in the Philippines in a positive way, it can have a positive effect on their life. Doesn't matter who you are, Filipino, foreigner, whoever. So what I did is I went, how am I going to do this? And so I created this thing called Becoming Filipino. Now, people might look at that and think, becoming Filipino, he has to turn into a Filipino. Absolutely not. I think that would be offensive because I'll never actually be Filipino. I'll never know what it's really like to grow up here and have to deal with the things you have to deal with. But can I take positive things I'm experiencing, have those become a part of my life? Absolutely. And I absolutely believe that's okay. So I said, I'll take Becoming Filipino, I'll link it together into a word, and I guess I'll start creating media. So what I did actually is Cebu Pacific wanted me to talk about creating a community or online community. Now, that word community, you have to remember, it's everybody, it's people, right? So when I first started this, I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Filipinos to share positive stuff with me, and then I'm just going to go and do it and share it back in a positive, real way and see what happens. And before doing any of it, what nobody will see or know is for 3 months, I just traveled around the country, not taking really any photos or videos, handing out business cards. My business cards that I made said, hey, please share something positive that you love about where you're from so I can learn about it. Here's my email, here's my Facebook page. And I just walked around interacting with people, handing those out. And for 3 months, what I started to notice is that every time I asked somebody to share something positive, it seemed to make them feel kind of good. And it made me feel kind of good. So I was like, okay, maybe this would be appropriate. Maybe this will be something positive, and maybe people will come together as a community. And for 2 years, well, now 3.5, but for the 2 years of this video you're going to see, that's all I did, is I just went around and I started doing these positive things and trying to stick them on a camera and started trying to take photos. And I'm going to show you this video now and then say something about it after, but this is the first 2 years.
Hey, kumusta? So, my name is Kyle Jennermann, or I have a Filipino name, Kulas, but this is going to be tough. I'm going to try and go fast, but I'm going to try and explain to you what should be maybe a 10-hour story in about 5 minutes. We're going How could you not want to take a selfie here? In 2013, I ended up coming and going from this country for 5 months, and you know, I can't even, it's almost impossible to put into words the kind of inspiration it's had on my life, you know? This is a sign, it just says, smile, you know, smile. It's the simplest positive thing, but I carry this sign with me everywhere I go in the world for the past 2 years. And because Filipinos taught me, you know, no matter what, you can always find simple positive things to share with the world around you. Look at Filipinos, the way they give. Look at a fiesta, they give and give and give and give. What do you want in return? Happiness, you know? Look at the resiliency of Filipinos. I've been to communities. There's an island, Batasan Island, Northern Bohol, where every single night the ocean comes, since an earthquake that hit there, covers the island, fills people's houses, but they still choose to live there, and they still appreciate the things they have, like community, being happy, being able to play sports, being able to eat, being able to fish, you know, it's overwhelming, this culture. 2013, it really hit me hard, it hit me right in the heart. And so in 2014, you know, I was sitting on an airplane actually and heading back to the Philippines, and I thought, you know what, this is a culture I want to learn from personally. This is a culture I want to share with the world around me, and so I started this thing called Becoming Filipino. So guys, this is gonna be ridiculous. If you're gonna come to the Chocolate Hills, you better bring a lot of chocolate. I'm here at Annie Loud, and this is a good crispy chicken. These people genuinely believe if I introduce people to Filipino culture, it will have that effect on their lives. You know, whether it's Filipinos who are disconnected or foreigners. I've been to 29 countries, and never once did I talk to a camera. Never once did I write blog posts. Never once did I share these things or anything with the world around me. When I started becoming Filipino, I had to share these things I was experiencing with the world around me. To me, it's important. It's something that I genuinely believe that the world can learn from Filipino culture. Please help. I look forward to this journey, and I really hope you guys can help me. And so that's why with this Becoming Filipino journey, I started asking Filipinos, share with me things you love about your country. Share with me things that make you proud, whether it's something about your food, your culture, environment, your history, whatever you love from where you're from, you know, asking them for positive things. And then I've been going around the country now for the past 2 years, doing those things, and just showing these positive things back to Filipinos in a raw and real way, and it's inspiring them to think about those simple positive things more and incorporate those into their lives and share them with the world around them. Isa! Dalawa! Tattoo! Baga baga! There's a lot of Filipinos who have negative stereotypes of their own culture within itself, and I just want to show them, you know, the real Philippines, and you know, I want to change those stereotypes. For me, I really believe that sharing happiness inspires happiness, and I just want to do that. I want to share all these positive things about Filipino culture that have inspired my life, and you know, and with the world around me, because I think it will make a positive difference, not only here in the Philippines, but in the whole entire world. You know, it's a crazy feeling when you wake up every single morning and you're inspired and happy. Becoming Filipino is not a product. It's really my life, and I'll continue doing it as long as I can and forever. It's a crazy feeling when you find something that you really believe in and is positive for you and the world around you. Because nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
So, I'm going to try and be quick, but this is kind of why I feel I'm up here talking right now, is when you guys go out there, okay, when you guys go in and have awesome experiences, okay, first and foremost, I just hope that you put those experiences first. Because everything you saw me doing there as well, you could really, I hope you could tell, like, those are real experiences I was really having a chance to enjoy. And one thing you might have noticed as well is that's not a fancy video. I've never been good with editing or taking shots or using cameras or doing stuff. But the reason why Becoming Filipino grew, I believe, is because it was real and it had purpose. And that's what I want you guys to really connect with, is that word purpose, okay? So if you're going to create media and you have this purpose, you have to connect it with something. And it has to be unique and personal. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, there's 4 reasons why I do what I do. I don't really vocalize it much, but I think it's important you hear it. Number 1, I just genuinely believe that if I introduce people to positive stuff here and share it back to them in a positive way, that can have a positive effect on their life. I genuinely believe that. That's the number 1 reason why I do what I do, and I will continue to do what I do. Number 2, there's a lot of crappy things out there, okay? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of difficult stuff, and you guys going around, even though you're going to be having awesome experiences, you're going to see a lot of difficult stuff too. And I'm sure growing up in the Philippines, you've probably felt a lot of difficult things. But what I noticed is, especially during that 3 months when I went around talking about positive things and asking people to share them with me, is that it was so easy sometimes for people to take those negative things and have them overpower all that simple positive stuff. So the second reason why I do what I do is I just want people to talk about positive stuff more and share it more, like Filipinos did in my life, and help me focus on, because then it can grow and grow and grow and grow, and I really believe fight back against those negative things. The third reason why I do what I do is there's a lot of people like me, foreign nationals, who come to the Philippines, and they come here with the wrong intentions or the wrong attitude, or in my opinion, or with the wrong idea, or not being open to this culture. And so I was just hoping by showing stuff in a real positive way that maybe it can give them something to connect to and maybe make their experience better. The final reason why I do what I do is my home is in Cagayan-de-Oro, Mindanao. And if you go around the Philippines or around the world, if you say the word Mindanao, usually people will think beheading, Abu Sayyaf, terrorism, death, horrible, everything negative. That's my home. And I feel very strongly about representing the majority of things in my home, which are positive, as opposed to those isolated negative things. So the fourth reason why I do what I do is to share positive education about things that are much bigger than the smaller negative things that have a big negative effect. I gotta say as well, of course, I've been very blessed. I had a cameraman named Kumar. He's back there in the hat right now. Now, what you'll find is like what Will and everybody else talked about earlier, like squad up or make a community or learn from each other. That's true. If you have purpose with something, find other people who fit along that purpose, who want to be a part of that purpose, who appreciate it or like that as well, and learn from them and work together with them. Because that's what me and Kumar and all of our friends and other people and everybody I've connected with in this community have done. And again, it's super, super important to have that. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to go to just quickly something else, because Cebu Pacific wanted me to say something quickly about just social advocacy. So this is one of the best things ever about social media. I freaking love it. Is you can do so many positive things with it. You have this ability to do absolutely anything you want. At any given time right now, you could say anything on Facebook. You can do anything on YouTube. You can type or share something on Instagram. And so there's just so much, ability to connect with people and do positive things. So I'll just give you a quick recent example. And I want to bring it up too because, for example, in Mindanao, there's a crisis in Marawi. So when I heard about it happening, I didn't actually know what to do, and I didn't know if I was going to help or what I was going to do. But I looked at my purposes, the 4 reasons why I do what I do, and one of them, of course, besides sharing positive stuff, was helping out educate positively in Mindanao. So I felt I had to do this, because it lined up with my purpose about why I create media. So what I did is I went to Iligan City, a place I've been 10 times, and I went around and I just started observing, interacting, and for 5 days I didn't even try to help. What I tried to do first was help myself understand if there's a way I could help or if there's a reason why I should try and help. And for 5 days I just started visiting evacuation centers, interacting with Maranaos and interacting with Filipinos, and I started collecting information. If you're going to create something in the sense of a social advocacy, you need to really, don't just jump into it. Take your time, educate yourself if it's something you really want to be involved with, and talk to people, interact with them. Like Will was saying, learn from everyone. And so that's what I did. And it was really cool because after 5 days, I was able to pick up a lot of information, and I was able to come up with an idea that, hey, I feel that maybe people can trust that I've been here for 5 days now. I've been sharing photos, sharing stories, that maybe we could do something. So what I did is I created Morale We Can Help. And I just want you to look at this, because if you're going to create something like Becoming Filipino, it was unique. And I didn't really research it much then because I wasn't big into social media or creating media. But Becoming Filipino was unique. Nobody had ever really used it. So when I created that, it worked. Same thing with Morawi. I knew I was like, okay, I need to pool all my information together. How can I do that? Well, I'll create something maybe unique, like Morale We, and I can use that like Morale We Can Help, Morale We Can Come Together, Morale We. And so if you're going to create something in the sense of social advocacy, try and think of ways to be creative to bring things together, and that's why I did that. And yeah, you can look up if you want on the internet what happened there. I won't say much more. But at the end of the day, just remember, if you're going to go out there and have amazing experiences, doing your One for Fun trip, which I'm sure you will, if you decide to create media, which I think you will be doing, first and foremost, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just being like, this waterfall is dope, look at it, yeah, standing in front of it, taking a photo. I do that too, it's fun, and that waterfall is dope. But think as well, with all these cool people you're going to meet, all these places you're going to go, and what kind of things can you create, or what are some of the things that you are really, inspired by, or things that you want to do? What kind of purposes do you have in your life, and how can you use these experiences you're having and use social media to grow things? So for me, at the end of the day too, I just believe in sharing happiness inspires happiness. When you go out there too, share some positive vibes, and I bet you positive vibes will come back. And yeah, I won't drag on too much more because it's been 31 minutes. So anyways, thank you for listening.